Hi, my name is Dr. Gabriel, and I'm on a mission to improve patients' lives by uniting top healthcare providers, including chiropractic, acupuncture, massage, and regenerative medicine, to offer a comprehensive approach to health and wellness. And today we're going to be talking about weight loss. And I know it is a very sensitive topic. I personally have a story that I would like to share with everybody today about my weight loss journey and how it came about to where we are right now. And I have been in healthcare my entire life. I actually grew up in Cairo, Egypt, and I used to go to work with my mom in a pharmacy, and I saw a lot of patients through that atmosphere and through that setup. So when I got into high school, I had been playing soccer for my entire life, and I was a very active child, and I used to run around and just jump off of stairs and do all types of sorts of things that were very active. And as soon as I hit my freshman year in college, I started getting knee pain. And when I got the knee pain, I thought it was going to be something that is going to be very temporary and it's not going to affect me on a long term. And we were actually going into a nationals on my soccer team. So when I got the knee pain, it didn't actually go away. So what happened was I went to a doctor finally after a couple of months, and the doctor diagnosed me with a condition that prevented me from playing sports. So fast forward, I switched to becoming a goalkeeper, and I thought this was going to take less of an impact off of my knees and my joints. And unfortunately, what happened is that I didn't really get rid of the pain, continued on, and it just was not going away at all. So they had to pull me off of the team, and I had to stop playing soccer. Now, with that level of activity being taken away from me, what happened was I started spiraling, and I put on a lot of weight. I put on about maybe 80 pounds at that time, and that did not really get shed off. And I have been kind of like struggling on and off with weight for the rest of my life, pretty much. I went to a nutritionist when I was in college to help me with my diet plan. And that worked for about maybe 6 months. And it didn't really work long term. And I don't know if anybody has done that before, tried to do it. And I see some heads kind of nodding right now. And I was like, okay, well, how do I continue doing this long term? Now, fast forward a little bit. There was another fad diet that came out, which was keto at the time. And keto was a great thing. And so keto worked for about maybe 6 to 8 weeks. And then after that, it was not sustainable. The minute you eat an apple, you pretty much put on all the weight that you shed it off. And then fast forward a little bit, we joined Beach Watchers. And then there was a couple of other fads that I started personally, and then just to see if this is something that is going to help me out or not. And until I heard of GLP-1. And GLP-1 is called Semaglutides. There is so many different names for that same exact compound out there. And we're just going to call it today, for the lack of a better term for it, the stuff, right? So when the stuff came out, I really thought it was not going to be sustainable. It was not going to be long-term improvement. It's not going to change patients' lives. And until I got into the science and read about the facts, and then really thought that it was going to be this magical treatment. I have seen this firsthand, and I have seen it with patients. I've seen it work with so many patients, and it has been very productive on short term and long term as well. So there are different ways that GLP-1 works, which is going to work on 4 different components. The first one is going to be the brain. Second one is going to be the pancreas. Third one is going to be the stomach. And the fourth one is going to be the small intestines. And I'm going to discuss each one of them and let you know exactly how it works on a scientific basis. So when we talk about the brain side, with the brain side, what GLP-1 does is going to reduce the fuel for hunger. So you're not going to feel hungry right away. This is number one. Second thing that is going to do, it is going to decrease your appetite, so you're not really going to be stimulated to eat if you are, like myself, an emotional eater. So it's going to delay the stomach from evacuating any food in there, so it gives you that feel of fullness. So this is what we call satiety. So this is going to make sure that you are able to feel full for a longer period of time. And I know that I do have some team members here that can help me out with that, and then we can be able to ask if this is okay, how this has improved your just brain function in relationship to feeling full. So Tara, how do you actually feel about that?
I feel like when it really does turn off the food noise that a lot of us have, and you just kind of don't want to go wake up in the late night and have late night munchies. So it does have a tool to have a better relationship with food.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing that. That's really awesome. So this is one thing that I didn't actually know about firsthand. I know personally, I'm an emotional eater. So when I get into any type of situation and I'm reaching to grab that food that I used to grab, I don't really have this urge anymore, because I do have sense of fullness since I actually started on the meds. Now, this is going to be on the brain aspect. On the pancreas aspect, there is going to be a release of insulin, and insulin is going to make the body feel that it has glucose, so you don't really require that glucose. So the medication itself, or the treatment, was originally designated for type 2 diabetes, because it really helped to make sure that, like we mentioned earlier, the pancreas is going to release insulin, and the insulin is going to prevent any urge that you need to eat anymore. And then it's going to have a reverse reaction, that you're not going to store any type of carbohydrates internally. So this is going to be a double mechanism. The third one is going to be for the stomach. As we mentioned earlier, with the stomach, it delays the evacuation or the emptiness of the stomach, so the stomach holds on to food a little bit longer. This helps on a twofold. The first thing is that it's going to make you feel very full. The second thing, it is going to really improve the digestion, because this delay is going to help the small intestines and the large intestines to be able to digest food much longer. And then the fourth one is going to be, like we mentioned earlier, with the liver. And then with the liver, now the liver is a big storage for glucagon, which is an enzyme. And then by delaying this enzyme from being released, this really helps to reduce any type of secretion that is going to store glucose long term. And we all know that the liver is usually the most organ that really stores the most amount of glucose and carbohydrates and sugar. Now, there is another effect that has happened with multiple patients and has happened over and over and over again, which is with the cardiovascular system and improving the heart condition. So we know right now that as a side effect of the treatment, what happens is that cholesterol level drops and the heart function improves. And this has been happening for short term and for long term. Now, I do get the question all the time, does this work long term? So when you stop the medication, do you actually, or when you stop the treatment, do you put on the weight again? The best thing about this treatment is that the minute that you take yourself or you wean yourself off and you get on the maintenance dosage, what happens is that your relationship with food has already changed. So if you actually continue to follow the good habits, this is going to prevent you from going back into the old habits that you were used to. And I do have so many stories and so many case studies about patients that have been on the treatment and have success stories on short-term and long-term. And would love to share that with you. If you do have any questions about the treatment, or if you'd like to schedule a consultation with one of our providers, feel free to reach out to us via email and schedule a virtual consultation. And thank you. Just let us know about your experience with the treatment and how long you've been on it and what were your results.
So I have been on the semaglutide for about 8 months. I had a really hard time losing weight, keeping weight off, even though I was exercising and eating healthy. I went and got lab works done with my provider, and they had ruled out other metabolic disorders. So it was just a matter of getting the right regimen. And so I heard a lot about the GLP-1 medications,
right.
And I heard about it at the wellness center and tried it out. And ever since then, I started at 210 pounds and I have now lost a total of 40 pounds.
Oh, wow.
So it's been a real game changer.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So when you had your lab work done, mm-hmm. was there anything abnormal or anything that led you to decide, hey, this is not a metabolic condition, I need to look into somewhere else?
Honestly, my lab work came back totally fine. It was just a matter of the frustration with having to lose weight.
Right.
I thought I had a thyroid disorder, a lot of the common things that happen when we go see the doctor, right. Something's wrong. So, that was kind of my indicator that I didn't have anything going on with me. It was just a matter of having the right solution for my weight loss.
Right. And do you feel any other improvements or any changes since you dropped the weight, or any other changes that happened?
Have a lot more energy, and also just the lack of wanting to snack. So the sugar cravings have gone down tremendously,
right.
And just feeling like an inflammation is gone.
The sugar craving.
Yeah.
So I know that when we say the treatment or we say the medication, there is some kind of a connotation or a bad connotation mm-hmm. to that mm-hmm. terminology. Mm-hmm. But we know that semaglutides is just a form of peptide, right? Mm-hmm. So peptide is just a protein. Uh-huh. Right? And it's found in our bodies, and this is going to change just the perception of, is this actually a medication or is it a natural supplement? Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because you already know a lot about this topic as well.
Yeah, so it is a peptide. So a lot of us have peptides in our body,
right.
And it's just an enzyme. So really, it's just getting that little boost.
It's activating that
exactly.
peptide, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So is this something that happens only when you need that boost, that happens at a certain age, or who would be like the right age group for this treatment?
Honestly, it goes just depending on the potential patient's background. They could have, PCOS, which does cause insulin resistance. So right. Yeah, it could be any age really. But I think it mainly targets a lot of people that are over the age of 30. And this, in my case, is what I've been dealing with. As you turn 30, you have your metabolism changes quite a bit.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that is so true, mm-hmm. right? And I personally experienced mm-hmm. that. Mm-hmm. And there was another shift that happened around 40. Mm-hmm. And yes, metabolism does change every 5 to 10 years and is very drastic. And whatever I was doing 10 years ago or 5 is not the same that I'm able to do, mm-hmm. not just the physical, but then with diet, with exercise, with everything. And speaking of diet and exercise, we know that one of the side effects for GLP-1 is appetite suppression. Mm-hmm. So you're going to be eating less. Mm-hmm. So what else do we need to do along with just the lack of food?
Definitely staying hydrated is extremely important. Drinking lots of water, and also just making sure you're exercising as well,
Right.
Alongside with the GLP-1. Those are, and also making sure that you're eating quite a bit of protein as well, just to kind of give you that full feeling.
Right.
Is also recommended.
Interesting. Yeah. And my personal experience is that with water was definitely a game changer. Like I usually drink about 2 full glasses of water in the morning, and I wasn't able to do that for a little while, especially in the beginning. And then with the protein intake, even without dropping a lot of weight, there was increase in the muscle mass, because this is another thing that actually is another question that comes up all the time. Do I lose muscle mass or not? So you actually, what was your experience with that, and how did you overcome that?
So muscle mass is a common, loss of muscle mass is a common side effect, but just going to the gym and lifting weights really does help with overcoming that obstacle.
That's great. Yeah. That's really awesome. So it is actually a tool, right? So it's not just the overall treatment that helps out, but it's one of all the other things that you do, right?
Yeah.
And not just, it's the treatment and that's it. There is going to be a lifestyle change as well, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Tara. Really appreciate you sharing with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.